peace and love. If you'd like to put this on to 1.5 speed, I'd recommend doing that because my goal... Hello, bug. Is it a spider? No, it's not. My goal is not to speak quickly. It's to speak clearly. It's to speak with like a lot of thought and intention behind what I'm saying. Typically I speak quite fast because there's a lot going on within my mental space that's already ready to come out and be spoken on, but my goal is to slow it down a little bit, and if you'd like for it to move faster, feel free to change the playback speed. I wanted to make this video because I've been seeing a lot of recommended on YouTube, and I've come to find that most of the time when a video is recommended to me on YouTube and I keep seeing it recommended, sometimes that's spirit just intending to speak to me. And so I kept seeing videos about how important it is when you have planets in the first house, how that can affect your first house and everything that goes into having first house planets. And I'm a Capricorn Rising, but I have Uranus and I have Neptune right on my ascendant. And I was going to make these videos about Uranus and Neptune separate, but I feel that there are a lot of people who are probably born within the generation I was. Uranus and Neptune were both in the sign of Capricorn, so you have Uranus and Capricorn kind of most likely hovering together somewhere within your house system. For me, that's exactly on my rising sign degree, so it's like right on top of when I was born. I didn't really pay attention to the planets in my first house for quite a long time because I have a 8th house stellium. So for me, I just like hyper focused on the 8th house, which was helpful because I think it's helpful to know when you have stuff going on in your 8th house because it prepares you for the types of turbulence that you may be experiencing here on Earth and why you're experiencing it. So I really didn't ever pay attention to the fact that Uranus and Neptune were conjunct my ascendant until I got pointed out to me in an astrological reading I got as a gift. And I want to speak about my experience of having these placements because I feel like it's really difficult to have Uranus and Neptune here, and sometimes it's already difficult to express how Neptune can show. It's already kind of sometimes difficult to understand Uranus as an energy, and so having it personally firsthand in like my first house of my body and my personality and how I express myself and my health and all that has really affected my movement through life here. And I'm recording this today. I'm recording this because I have some videos that will be coming out soon about me like struggling to find like a job that aligns with my values, and I just shared like a video of me like crying about being so confused, and that's when Uranus and Neptune pop up in my rising sign. And that's how I'm going to kind of go into this, is essentially my intention in sharing this is that if you have Uranus and Neptune in your first house, or you just have it, you're trying to learn more about Uranus and Neptune and how it's impacting you, this is how it's impacted me. Hello, bird. So I have a Capricorn rising, which means when people meet me, they are first going to see that Capricorn energy. A lot of times that may mean that I look, and I am, but I look very responsible, I look dependable, I'm someone you can count on, I'm organized, I'm efficient, I'm a good worker. Those things are all true. I agree with all of those things about me. And it's easy for me to go into interviews and speak on my strengths because I'm not lying about them. Those are my strengths. Most of the time when I'm getting an interview and these people are looking at me, they're seeing like everything that I can help them build. They're seeing everything that I can help them do. And that's what Capricorn Risings are here to do. We're here to help people build and do and make things better for the good of everyone. The issue that I experience having Uranus and Neptune on my Capricorn rising is that as responsible as I am, as much of a helper as I am, as much as I want to be of service, as much as I am responsible, there is also a very large part of me, even though Uranus is in the sign of Capricorn, even though Neptune is in the sign of Capricorn, there's a very large part of me that is very hard to grasp and very hard to understand and can come off very off-putting to other people. That is because as much as there is a consistency within me, a lot of the consistency is that there is inconsistency. You can rely on the fact that I will not always stay the same. You can rely on the fact that, yes, I'm changing, and you should just let it happen. These were two very important tattoos for me at the time of my life where I was like understanding, wow, there is like something inherently very different about how I respond to the world, how I want to move through the world, how I see the world, how I see my purpose in the world, and how that leads me to make decisions that other people that just don't think make any sense at all, but they make sense to me. So for me, going into these interviews, being a starseed, being an empath, being neurodivergent, I have a social battery that with my Neptune on my rising sign makes me very sensitive to other people's energies. It makes me very sensitive to my interactions with others. I can pick up things very easily. The Uranian energy also adds a lot of like electricity, a lot of like sensitivity to my electrical system. So I'm just like really sensitive. And sometimes it's hard for people to understand that when you say that, because the word has become so desensitized, which is funny that the word sensitive has become so desensitized, but I am quite sensitive to the point where people don't understand the type of sensitivity that I'm expressing because a lot of people aren't feeling it. And this sensitivity is in my first house. It's in my body. It's in like how I'm receiving the world around me and how I'm expressing it. So for me, having these two interviews, yes, I look responsible, the Capricorn Rising, yes, I am dependable, all these things. But then after I go out of these interviews and I know I feel good about it and they feel good about it, then the Uranus and the Neptune in my first house, Uranus is like, you don't want to do that. Why are you going to that interview? You know what you want to do. You want to go over to that van and build it out, and you want to get in it, and you want to go drive off and find places in nature and connect to nature and share yourself in nature and make music in nature. That's what you really want to do. So just go do that. And then the Neptune part of me is like, you just had those interviews and it was a lot of energy that you just picked up from both of those interviews, from those people. You're cycling their energy through your body. You should probably process that. I'm really psychically sensitive and now I'm really energetically drained because my social battery as a projector as well in human design, I'm like penetrating their aura and taking things in. And now I'm like, I have like all these things I see about that person that I am like learning about that person, where it almost feels like in my first interview I was like almost kind of like just there for him. Like I was in the interview holding a space for him to talk, and he was like talking about stuff in his life. The Uranus makes it seem like the Capricorn in me is irresponsible, and the Neptune in me makes it seem like the person that you're meeting is fake and is a facade and is not real. And that's the really difficult part about Uranus and Neptune. Hi, Thor. My mom's dog. That's the really difficult part about Uranus and Neptune, is the fact that Uranus is going to be very erratic. It's going to be, Uranus is not the planet of predictability, and I understand exactly what this planet is going to do and how it's going to respond and what it wants and why it wants it. Uranus is the planet that brings in disruptive and violent changes for your evolution, for your transformation, so that you can actually change the way you're meant to. Neptune is a planet that is even hard to grasp because it's a gaseous planet. It's not something that's tangible. It's not something that you can just understand by touching it. You have to like experience it. You have to feel it. So for me, having these placements on my first house has been really hard because I know who I am inside of me and how I feel, and the way that other people receive me is every single person, obviously, naturally, in general, is going to receive you differently anyway, because we all have our own upbringing, our own perspectives, our own narratives. Oh yeah, his butt is healing. It's doing much better. I figured I should probably say something since you can see that. That's a whole nother story. So going through all of these recent interviews and trying to find a job and like trying to like go back into like a interview experience has really re-highlighted for me that Uranus and Neptune in me. Like, yeah, I'm responsible, I'm like good at what I do, but the Uranus in me is like, I want to do what I want to do. I feel this like it's like an electrical, like Uranus is like a mad scientist. Uranus is that the electrical impulse to do something, and you just do it because it's being like sent down to you. You're getting like a download about it. You're getting like an impulse outside of yourself from God, from source, about that thing. And even if no one around you can understand that because they didn't get that impulse, they didn't get that, even though it doesn't make sense to anyone else around you, it doesn't matter. The struggle for me has been my Cancer sun is like, but I care if it affects other people. And my Libra moon is like, I really care how other people care. So Uranus is really like, kind of like going against a lot of what is within the rest of my chart. I'm learning how to honor Uranus in my chart. I'm learning how to balance the fact that I can be responsible, but also be very impulsive. And not an impulsivity that is sourced from like a immaturity or like being neglectful. It's like, no, I feel the need to do this because I feel that it's important to do. I feel like it's leading me to something. And yes, it doesn't make sense. Yes, it's not conventional. No, it's not this. No, it's not that. And then the Neptune is like, I can't explain what I'm picking up. I can't explain, like, I feel it and I can like almost explain it in a metaphor, how I see it, but it's just a feeling. It's a psychic sense. It's like a sixth sense. Not to bring celebrities into it, but a lot of times people talk about Ariana Grande. She has the exact same birthday as me, birth time, everything, and she has Uranus and Neptune in the first. And a lot of times people talk about how she always looks so different and how her look is always changing. Uranus, change. Neptune, the arts, the way you express your aesthetic, that makes sense to me. That's the only reason why I've never really gotten into like my own thought process about why she's continuously changing her looks, as well as Pluto transiting our first house right now. I understand that. You can look at any video that I've posted and I look completely different in every single one because I'm still finding that. I'm like sifting through all these expressions of my multifacetedness to find that. So as much as I wanted this video to be like a clear cut, quick, easy way to be like, when you have Uranus in your first, you should expect this, or Neptune in your first, you should expect that. It's less about what you should expect and more about knowing that you're gonna have some things that are unexpected to everyone around you. That's what I've really noticed, is when I decide or have an impulse to do something, I rarely get the response that other people are like, oh, cool. It's more like, there's not even like a really response. It's just a look like, that doesn't make sense to me. Why would you do that? That's irresponsible. And I've really struggled with that. I have really struggled with having these impulses, having these urges, and then I, as the Libra moon in the 8th house, go to like share this, express this with the other Libra to see if I can get support, balance, and the looks let me know that it's wrong. Like I gauge if I should follow that impulse on the external and those around me, when I should really be just going into my internal. So I guess if I could give a recommendation, is that if you have wherever you have Uranus, but especially in the first house, and wherever you have Neptune, but especially in the first house, you really have to learn how to honor the intimate relationship you have with yourself and be okay with the fact that you're going to be not a consistent, reliable source or foundation for people to always expect the same of you. You should go into, and this is something I've learned from really struggling with having friends and not really having any friendships, is go into any of your friendships with a very clear communication of, hey, like, you should know this about me. Whenever I get an impulse or desire to do something, because of just the way my makeup is, I may go off and travel for 3 months. I may not want to speak on the phone for a week. I may, like, there are calls that I'm going to get, and it has nothing to do with you. I'm just kind of erratic. So I'll be that friend that you can tap in with here and there every now and again. But until I have found the place where I like am called to be, I'm going to kind of be like that. And I'm not going to be that friend that's like there every day, calling you every day, checking it every day. That's not how my energy works. That's the best recommendation I can give to you for friendships. As far as like the people, like your friends and your family, just literally any person you will interact with is going to be a little confused by you, just a little bit. And I think that's okay. It didn't used to be okay for me, especially as I was, you know, a younger me, when I was like a child and teens. I really struggled with like everyone always saying that I was weird or I was different or why are you doing that? And I used to think it was just like a divine little gift and spark, and over time people just continuously were trying to teach me that no, that's not what that is. It's a divine spark. Uranus is that divine little electric bolt from God, the downloads, the aha moments, the mad scientists. And whether that be something just for you, whether it be for like the collective, for humanity, whether it be for Gaia, whether it be for animals, whatever it's going to be for, definitely honor it. No matter how much it makes you feel like the loner, no matter how much it makes you feel like no one is there supporting you, you can support you. And that's what I've been learning how to do during this time of my life, is supporting me. As far as Neptune goes, because I haven't really spoken on Neptune as much, and then I'm going to close this out here. As far as Neptune goes, again, it's kind of interesting because Uranus and Neptune, to me, both are hard to grasp, sometimes hard to explain. But what you can always expect with the Neptunian placement is that it's going to be a lot more about the spirit, the essence, the emotion, the feeling, the sense, the visual, the dreams, the creative expression, the artistic expression, the like this. Like it's just the feeling, it's like the sensing. And having Neptune, which is hard to grasp anyway, but being in the sign of Capricorn has been really interesting, because it's taken this planet that's like, what is it, and put it in the energy of a sign that's it's the oldest earth sign. It's very concrete. I'm gonna wait for the plane for a minute. Oh yeah, while I wait, let me show you this feather that I found. It's beautiful. That'd be a cool thumbnail. Hold on. Let me make a little thumbnail. Neptune is the intangible. Capricorn is the tangible. It's almost like merging the two together. It's about making those things that are intangible tangible. It's about making those things that are hard to explain explainable. Capricorn would be a good one to do that. A lot of you will most likely have Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn, and then maybe some of the younger generations are going to have it moving into Sagittarius. Those before me would be in the sign of, oh wait, that's Sagittarius. After me would be in the sign of Aquarius. There'll be a lot of Saturn in Neptunes and Aquariuses, which is also very interesting. There's a lot of interesting placements for Uranus and Neptune in the last 30 years. For me, the experience has really just taught me to be okay with not being understood, to be okay with honoring the urges and the impulses, to not consider myself to be bipolar because of it, to not consider myself to be inconsistent because of it, to honor why that impulse is there and that it is a sacred impulse, to learn to discern between my own immature desires for something and those sacred calls and electrical download aha moments, as well as allowing the Neptunian part of me to not always look the same, to express myself in different aesthetics and genres, to continue to search for what feels right, and know that that doesn't mean that I'm being inauthentic. It means that I'm looking for who I am, and that's sometimes hard to do when you're so open psychically and energetically, sensitively to everything outside of you. So when you're so sensitive to all the things outside of you, going inside of you and trying on things helps you figure out what is you. So that's what I'll say about that. Lots of air activity around here. Oh, there it is. And the perfect way to end this would be to kind of close it out with what I'm thinking about as I'm looking at this plane. There was this one time, because we live close to an airport, that I was at the light and my sister was giving her extra food that she didn't eat to the man who was sitting at the light asking for food. And there was a plane flying over and he was like, I wonder where they're going. What do you think? Australia? Paris? And I can't remember the last place he said, but I remember Australia and Paris. And I was like, To me, that's a Uranus Neptunian energy. An impulse, a desire to go where you're called and wonder what's going to be there, where you're going, what's going to happen. That feels really good to me and my soul. That can sound really irresponsible to others, but there are so many before me who have lived the life of, a traveler, an explorer, a wanderer, a nomad, a gypsy, a vagabond, you name it. So for me, Uranus and Neptune in my first house is really important to honor and to acknowledge and to work with instead of against. And I would recommend that for anyone who has Uranus and Neptune in the first house. Work with yourself, especially if no one else wants to. Understand the impulses even if no one else can. There's lots of bug activity in the grass today. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you for receiving this. I'm not necessarily sure how to close out something like this because I could just talk ad infinitum about something like this. But if you have Uranus and Neptune in the first house, how has it affected you? Like, what do you notice are the themes, like things that you hear people say to you a lot, or the experiences and the struggles you have, the impulses you have, the desires you have, and maybe why you're fighting against them or not listening to them because of, like, your own actual, like, realistic, no, that's not smart to do, or because of other people's judgments. Are you ready to go inside? Okay. Thank you for listening. Thank you for receiving. I hope that this has been helpful for you. I wish you all the best on your Uranus-Neptune journey. It is a gift, and it's a responsibility. It's a blessing. It's many things. Thank you for receiving. Until next time, sending you peace, sending you love.